Great. Om Ganana Tva Ganapati Gamavame Kavim Kavina Umashavastavam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspad Anashrinvan Nodivisi Sadhanam Shimaha Ganapata Yenamaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Virvajinipati Dhino Vitrevato Maha Saraswati Namaha Guru Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guruve Sarvalokanam Vijay Bhavaroginam हृदये सर्वविद्यानां श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अस्मिन् गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः देवीं वाचमजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्द्रेषु मूर्जन्तुहानां भागस्मानुपतिष्ठितयतो व्यासमधिष्ठे पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकदादं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यापाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मश्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रीकाञ्चीकामकोटिपीठाधीश्वराचार्य श्रीचरणयोः प्रणमाः दतां महादप्रसन्दरी समेत श्रीचन्द्रमौळीश्वराय नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. So we have finished first Mundaka. We are going to start the second Mundaka today. So last class I summarized a lot of things. Do you have any questions so far? Not really. Okay. So are you all able to get a grasp of what Mundaka Upanishad is all about at a very high level? You can unmute it. I don't think too many of you are there, so it won't be a disturbance. So
it tells about how important each one's karma, how each one's duty is,
okay,
and how important it is to perform one's duty, and what are the consequences of not performing it,
right,
and the importance of sound.
We learnt that the Apara Vidya and Avidya, lower learning is all about the Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, because those are very popular in the Treta Yuga. And it teaches you a lot of stuff. It just teaches you how to do your karma. But it also tells you that once you do the karma, you feel the sense of saying, I did it, I created it, etc., etc. And if you're going to stop at that, good luck to you. It's not going to take you anywhere. In order to connect and merge with the absolute, the Brahman, or the imperishable, eternal, infinite truth, absolute truth, you need to learn the higher level knowledge, which is also called Brahma Vidya or Paravidya. And once you learn it, you need to start learning how to detach yourself from the shackles that you have in the materialistic world. And as you do that, you will pass through 1,000 lights of sun before you start realizing what that absolute truth is all about. So in the whole process, we said everything started from Pranava, Om, the sound, and through various Bijaksharas, you evolved, and every living being that you see in this cosmos was formed. So the process of evolution and dissolution, you merge back with the Paramatma, is what the process is all about. We also learnt about the clear, crystal clear definition of sound as given in our scriptures. And as is always with any topic, you don't find a definition in one place in this book, in this chapter. It's referenced across many Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and many such scriptures. They'll keep talking about it, they'll expand on it, they'll give some aspect of it. So you need to conjure everything together and then form an opinion or idea. So, do you all remember what we talked about sound? Sound is divided into 4 stages: Paravak, Pashyanti Vak, Madhyama Vak, Vaikhari Vak. So, Para starts at the energy level, the thought level. Pashyanti is where the intellect level happens, which is between the nabhi and the heart. There it gets converted to the next stage of madhyama, where the aksharas are added to it as carriers. And pashyanti is what you hear outside, that letter with the sound. When I say ka, kha, ga, dha, ma, it's a sound with akshara. That's the definition. So aksharas and sound both are conjoined. They are not separated, and they form the essence of the cosmos. So they are like seeds, which is why we say a tuksha is matrukakshara, right? So far so good, or you're hearing it for the first time? Yeah. Okay. So you also understood that that sound and that vibration, that energy is required to activate energy in your body, which will help you in being able to understand and appreciate the higher level knowledge. So today we'll take one sloka, and then we will go into the depth of what that mantram is trying to explain. And you will see in some form and shape, they will try to reiterate the whole concept over and over again. Because if you become more interactive in this class, you will realize that there are many things we just take it for granted in our life. We don't pay attention to the micro level details. We don't pay attention to the essentials of certain things to happen, because ever since we were born, somebody guided us to roll over, then somebody guided us to crawl. From crawling, you started sitting up, somebody helped you to get up, walk, run. And after that, you've been running till date. And you've been largely responding to the or reacting to things around you. Rarely you would have gotten a break and said, "Oh, okay, let me take a look at it. I'm taking oxygen for granted, my breathing for granted. What is the process of breathing? What are the essential things that I need to know, without which this will not work? This will come to a halt." Impact on that. Hardly you get time to formally study many things, right? So going forward, when you start trying to understand this Upanishad, you will try to develop that process of starting to question every step of the way. Then you will see a much clearer picture. And after the first mantra, then I will try to go and explain about mind, consciousness, and so on and so forth. Because in the sound definition also, I gave explanation in terms of how those Parapashyanti Madhyama Vaikari is connected to the other lokas, how it is connected to the four states of consciousness, right? So if you are not able to relate to what I'm saying, it means that you missed the class and you didn't watch the video yet. So you can take the video for the last 2 3 class and play it 1 hour each every day. You'll be able to understand what I'm saying. So without much ado, let us go to the first shloka, which I have shared in the WhatsApp group, and I will share the PDF hopefully before the end of this week. Tadetat satyam yatha sudiptat pavakad विस्फुलिङ्गाः सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते सरूपाः तदेतत्सत्यं यथा सुदीप्तात् पावकात् विस्फुलिङ्गाः सहस्रः प्रभवन्ते सरूपाः तथाक्षराद्विविधाः सौम्यभावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापि यन्ति. So tadetat satyam. Tat means that. Etat means this. Satyam means truth. That this truth, yatha, as blazing. Sudiptat means blazing. Pavakat, from fire. So blazing from fire. That this truth, which is blazing from fire, Vispulingaha, like sparks. So if you are unable to visualize this, if you are all used to Diwali firecrackers, and imagine the 2, 3 that you hold in your hand, Fuljadi. Right? One central source, but there's a lot of sparks coming in, right? So imagine that on an infinite scale. So Vispulingaha is sparks. Sarupaha, of the same appearance. If you see in the Fuljadi, all the sparks that is coming in is the same appearance, right? Some will go far, some will fall right there. Correct? Sahasrashaha, which means by thousands, they spring out. Prabhavante means spring out. They spring out in thousands. Tatha, so Somya means my young friend. Refer young friend. And who's telling who? Mundaka Upanishad is what is the source? What is the background of Mundaka Upanishad? Sage Angirasa is teaching Shaunaka. Correct? That's the first mantra, right? That's the background of why Mundaka Upanishad came into existence. So Sage Angirasa is telling Shaunaka, my young friend, Vividhaha, various, bhavaha, beings, various beings, aksharat, from that imperishable, aksharat. So when you're referring the Brahman, the Paramatma, Sage Angiras is referencing as that aksharaha. Prajayante, originate. Tatra, there. Eva, verily. Api, again. Cha, and. Yanti, go back. So tatra chaivapi yanti. That is tatra eva api cha yanti. So it goes back to the imperishable from where they originated. These sparks originated from that imperishable, they go back. So in one line in English, if you have to explain the meaning of this mantra, it says, this is the truth that as from a blazing fire shoot out thousands of sparks of the same appearance, so do the various beings originate, my young friend, from that imperishable until it verily go back to the same imperishable again. So that's a cycle or a loop. And we all understand that. Jivatma, Paramatma, right? Evolution, dissolution. So you're able to connect with everything that is being talked about. Any question?
So ultimately it will go back.
Correct. All the beings.
Yeah.
From where it originated. But here, if you see the subtle difference that is being made is, if you remember in one of the mantras, there is an example, 3 similes were given, one of which was about the trees growing on earth. Right? So the earth acts as the platform or common energy that all the trees share. But it does not mean every tree looks alike. Same height, same features, same size. Each tree has its own characteristics. So what they're saying here is, even though the platform is the same, in the other case, it's the Paramatma is the same, that part which is the jiva in each one of us and the other living beings is the same as part of that Paramatma. That is common amongst all of us. Over and above that, there are very specific characteristics that is available to each individual. That is why we all don't look alike, exactly the same. Somebody is short, somebody is tall, somebody is fat, somebody is thin, somebody is dark, somebody is white. All those attributes and characteristics that you see is over and above that which is commonly shared by all of us. So the Jivatma that is there in you is the same as in me, in her, and in both of them. I hope it is still simple. Yes? No? Any questions?
Yeah, it makes sense. Basically, it's saying that 1,000 is just a number. So that is
Correct.
thousands of different, thousands of the same thing comes, and each one is distinguishable by its
Correct.
own characteristics.
Correct.
But ultimately, it goes back to the same source.
Exactly. So, back to the same reinforcement that all that you talk of karma that you do, which you say, this is my karma, this is my karma. Karma means you keep doing it. That action results in something that you create. But don't believe that that is your God. You are not creating anything. These are temporary because we example of, you take anything that you have created. You take an iPhone, you take a pad, you take an eraser, you take a mouse, you take a TV. Everything has got a shelf life. They perish after some time. But that, and again, if I show you this, you know it is iPhone. If I show you a different phone, you know it is Android. So we are able to relate to it in the definitive form. Attribute is not there. Nirguna. Correct? So accept and understand as a starting point that whatever you achieve through karma, whatever you create, is still temporary. It is not the final destination. Correct?
Videos.
So, this is in short the meaning of this mantra. So, now let us try to understand, as I said in the beginning, a lot many things that we take for granted. Ah,
Your video is distorting it. I don't know whether it's for us or for others.
Now it's become clear.
Now
Yeah,
it's
it froze for some time actually.
oh, okay.
froze and became distorted. Now it's okay.
Okay, good. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you. The
Okay.
video was the only.
Video was frozen. Okay, fine. Let's take the example in the context of lower level knowledge, higher level knowledge, etc., etc. If we take the example of, we all live in Plainsboro, Princeton, wherever we live. If I know that my destination is New York City, what are all the things that I need to be able to reach my destination?
Know to go route.
That is one. Then
It means. It means.
Means how will you go?
vehicle or a train, right?
Will
Then
you be able to afford it?
then
Destination. The destination.
right.
Where in it?
Okay. What else?
You have to go.
Should have the will to go.
Beautiful. You could have said everything except that, but I'm so happy that you hit it so hard. Because that would have been my next question. I have the Google Map or iPhone, Apple Map or Triptych or Atlas. I have the car. I have the key to the car. I have the knowledge how to operate the car and also interpret the map. Or I know how to take a cab to the train station and catch a train, buy a ticket. There are so many things involved. But I'm still sitting in this chair. I know everything. I've done it before. Will that availability of everything that you think you need take you to the destination? The answer is no. There has to be a will or an incentive or a purpose for you to say that, yes, I need to go there. Only then you will get up, move, and take action. Correct? Am I making sense? It sounds a very simple, common sense discussion argument, but it is very profound. The same way, you look at yourself as a passage of that we are all caught into spending our life in trying to learn all these Vedas and those rituals and sutras and how the Homakunda is set up, what is the Abhishekam sequence, how to prepare the Dravyam, how to put the Samit, what are the mantras, you learn everything. And at the end of the day, you conjure up everything and say, okay, with the help of Vadyars or myself, I complete the puja, which is what I want to do. So now I've learned how to do puja. I can do tarpana, I can do archana, I can do paranam. And you say that I can do everything. I know how to go and work and earn money. The money that is reserved to buy the products or the dravyas or the resources. That alone is not going to take you to the path of emancipation or liberation. For you to go to that path, you need to understand this is just the beginning. You need to have the will to say, I need moksha, I need liberation. You need to understand what this cosmos is. You need to understand how you are connected with that cosmos. What is the process of evolution and dissolution? You need to understand all of those things. Then you need to understand your energy centers in your body. You need to understand how to rise up the Kundalini energy. You need to understand the various energy centers. You need to learn the tools and techniques how to do this rising of energy business. Right? Am I making sense? So, if you have to summarize and reverse, what are all the key things that you need to be able to take this journey and reach your goal? See how difficult it is? So if you don't even put an attempt to understand.
What you said, I'm just thinking.
Okay, now you heard all these things, lower level knowledge, higher level knowledge, detachment, you have heard it 1,000 times. Still, do you think that you know what to do and how to reach there? Because you don't have answers to all the questions.
Yes.
You don't know enough. You don't know all the key components of the puzzle. Correct? And that's where we have where to look for that authentic information. And despite having that book knowledge and a teacher also doing the whole thing to you, it doesn't mean that you checked out all the boxes. There's something called where you need to believe and put that trust and faith in that guru. As we talked about in the previous class, the guru should have passed through that journey to be able to share their experience with you and you're able to appreciate and put the trust and faith. Okay, you've been there, so I know you're guiding me in the right direction. I'm with you. Correct? And that is where your dual life could probably be forming an obstacle, because in today's modern day science, everything is about clinical evidence. Everything is about seeing and believing and touching. So if you straitjacket yourself in that approach, you will find it extremely abstract and difficult to understand what we are talking about here. So I'll give an example which I shared in the morning. In one of my WhatsApp group, somebody made a fun of, oh, India has everything from millions of years. They knew long before Boeing came into existence how to build a Viman. And these are all posted by Indians, not by non-Indians. Can somebody share what kind of a fuel was in existence in those days? So there's a lot of mockery going on back and forth, right? Because fossil fuel was invented by man just about 80 years ago, 70 years ago. Until then, there is no scope for a plane. It was Wright brothers who invented the flying. Everybody loves to make fun because somebody had the guts to make it an official statement in the All India Global Science Congress a couple of years ago, talking about Vimana. Indian scientists, modern day scientists, believed that those people who spoke like that were an embarrassment in the global community. They embarrassed India. Very convincing argument, right? Oh, I can't imagine. Because I hope you know how the plane flies. You have any idea, or you want me to give a additional input? Don't hesitate. If you don't know, you don't know. That's fine. I'm an engineer, so I can explain it a little bit. Unmute yourself, no problem. It's not disturbing or. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is some science behind it which makes it.
Very simple. It's not very complicated. You can do the experiment at home and you will understand the principles of life. Take a piece of paper, hold it in both the hands, right? And you blow just above the paper. You'll see the paper just folded and hanging like this will come up. Got it? So, if you see what is the importance of those two wings that you see, large wings of the aircraft, if you see it from the side, they will be of a shape like this, a jet foil, just like bindi. A bindi is symmetrical on both sides if you split it from the vertical. This one will be, the top will be curved, the bottom will be flat. The purpose of that is if you take air flowing at full force, if it is sucked through that wing, the air that is the bottom half of it will reach the other end quickly, whereas the top half will take a longer route, time. So, in the process of that, it creates a low pressure on the surface above the wings, whereas below the wing, there is a higher pressure. So, by default, high pressure will push things to the lower pressure area. That's how it gets the lift, the thrust. So, what you see as those huge engines below the wing is to just suck that air and blow on top of the wings. So, why do you need fuel? You need fuel to run those engines, which are combustion engines. Is it a chime for me or one of you? Okay, I don't know. There's a lot of chimes coming in. Right. So, this is what I've been taught in my engineering course. I'm going to look at everything in that aspect. So, if somebody says, oh, you can fly without all this fuel, my first thing is to mock that person, ask for evidence, proof, etc., etc. So, in the group I just posted, I said, how about that there were no need of any fuel in those days? Oh, come on, now don't start something. I said, no, don't try to ready anything. I said, do you guys believe in TM? Yeah, correct. You know Newton, right? What did he invent? Supposedly he is the one who invented it. So what did he invent?
Three laws of
Gravity. Basically gravity.
Gravity.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine anything defying gravity? Until you go to space, no.
Yeah.
As long as you are within the sphere of the scope of Earth, you are pulled by gravity. So anything to go against gravity, like the whole aircraft with all cargo, you need power, the thrust, which is where the fuel comes in. But in transcendental meditation, you can sit cross-legged like this, but through the process of meditation, you lighten up your body and it defies gravity without any fuel.
Yes, you can lift. Yes, correct.
And you can move from the Western world accepts it because it's a huge industry. I said you have the audacity to say ridicule me there, but also accept this philosophy which existed in our thousands of years ago. Where did you learn it from? Where did you learn brain yoga? From Topukarma. I said you must have the cheek to ridicule me while you're trying to learn many things from me and trying to teach me back and sell me the whole concept. So don't expect short answers. Go and read our scriptures. There is a whole section that you'll find on the engineering aspect of it, calculations, mathematics, principles of aerodynamics, and you will learn. And I gave another example. If you find it difficult to digest, if you watch that Devoka De Mahadev serial, it was a very eye-opening serial. I don't know how many of you watched it. If you didn't,
Yes.
Watch it on hot. They have recorded versions of that, or buy DVDs and watch it. Fantastic example. Ravana was a die-hard fan of Lord Shiva, right? That is all that he could think of, morning to evening. But he also did not recognize anybody else. He felt everybody else is a waste of time, including Parvati. So somebody who was trying to needle him and test his arrogance and shut him down told him, "What is the point of you being his Aradhya? He's living an austere life there in Kailash in cold without any clothes, just that woolen attire, sitting on a stone. What's the point if you have all the skills and money and power?" He says, "Yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to make his life a 7-star." So he thinks and goes and villa for my Aradhya. And he's also done the architectural design, what room, what size, where, how, etc. Blah blah blah. So he says, even if I give you all my gold, how can you carry it from my place to Kailash? He says, don't worry about it, leave it to me. He uses the power of penance, and you can see the gold bricks or blocks flying from where he was to Kailash. So there is a power, there is a source by which you can defy gravity and achieve what you want to achieve. So back to our question. If we have all the resources, we need that will and the incentive to go to the destination. Just having resources, knowledge, money, power, etc. is not sufficient. So in case of lower, higher level knowledge, you need to understand everything just the way you described in minute level of detail. I need the money, I need the car, or I need the cab to go to the train station. I need to know how to buy the train ticket. I need to understand how the train ticket system works, including where to put the ticket if you're in NJ Transit. You need to know all that stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to reach your destination. So, in our sense, you need to have a good understanding of consciousness. So, in the concept of sound, the relation to the consciousness, what did you learn? What do you know of consciousness?
It's basically another, you can say, a deeper understanding of mind, because everybody thinks mind is related only to the brain.
Correct.
It's not that. Consciousness and mind is like you have it like throughout your body. It's very difficult. You cannot pinpoint actually related to what consciousness is.
Okay. So, you see, without a full knowledge of mind, you're not going to be able to understand anything of what the scriptures are talking about. So, immediate answer is I need a better understanding of the mind instead of just giving some random definition. Correct? You need to be very specific and very granular. You now understand when I talk of sound, you will not say, "Yeah, sound is something that you create a vibration from your mouth, you disturb the air around you, and the other person receives it. That is called sound." You won't stick to that modern day scientific definition. You understand that sound exists even before the akshara is attached in the para stage, paravak. Para becomes Pashyanti, Pashyanti becomes Madhyama, and then Madhyama becomes Vaikhari when it's finally delivered. So these 4 stages are associated to the corresponding 4 states of consciousness. So what are the 4 states of consciousness? Japna? No? No lead? Correct. Correct. So you see, you know a lot. You've heard it from many sources. I have repeated it many times in many classes. You just have to revise it and you'll remember it and start connecting the dots. So what we are saying is, if you don't understand what is mind and you don't take charge of understanding and controlling the mind, you will never be able to appreciate or experience the Turiya state. In your current form, with your lower level knowledge, the best you can do is to understand Jagrat, Swapna, and maybe Sushupti. I can read about it, but if somebody says what happened in the Sushupti state, you cannot describe it. The best you can say is, I had a dream, and you can describe a dream. That is Swapna. Jagrat, obviously, you're keeping your eyes open and you're moving around. Am I saying the correct thing? So you need additional knowledge of how this whole mechanism works. What are the key elements in your body other than the physical appearance? You can't just limit yourself to the knowledge of brain, heart, kidney, liver, and so on and so forth. You need to understand the software behind it and how they connect. And I will give you one more example. Just I'll quickly describe you so that you don't lose what I'm trying to say. Do you know the components of mind? What forms the mind? They are, if you want, you can note it down. They are manas, ahankara, chitta, buddhi, and atman. And so let me give you more and more metaphors and similes, right? When you talk of Bhagavad Gita, what is the picture that you all have seen that you relate to by looking at this? Oh, is this from Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, Vishwarupa, or the chariot. And you have
There you go. So see the devil is in the details, and if you understand it, you will get answers to many questions. That's what I'm trying to do here in a very simplistic fashion. What do I do? What do I do? How do I get Ambal Darshanam? How do I get moksha? Definitely not on WhatsApp. RIP is not going to get you moksha. And I tell people, I said, do you even understand what you're wishing for the dead soul? You want the soul to move, and you're saying rest in peace. That means it will be hanging there in the Pitraloka itself. It won't move anywhere. Right? Yeah. So you must know what you're asking for. Huh?
Actually, people just
I am very particular. I've stopped saying RIP for years now. I say prayers for the soul's moksha.
Yeah, what it is, it's just Om Shanti.
Exactly. Or prayers for moksha, right? That's what you want to say, the liberation, emancipation. So back again here. Huh? Sorry?
Shivaloka Prapti.
Yeah. That also is limiting because you are expected for the person to travel through various lokas. You get promoted and you actually travel. That is why you do all the Shraddha and monthly, Masika Sota Kumbha, etc., which is nothing but breakfast, lunch, dinner to the departed soul. So here, if you see Katha Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita, you will see the picture. You will see what first thing that comes to your mind is, other than Krishna, what else you see?
Krishna, Arjuna.
Horses. Horses. So imagine what I gave you, the 5 components of mind, 5 horses. See, is just having 5 horses enough? Is just having horses is enough, or you need something more?
You need somebody to hold the rein for that.
You need the reins first.
Yeah, you need the reins, and then you need
somebody to hold the reins
and direct it.
Correct.
Control it, basically.
Yeah. So now it is very easy to say, okay, if I take an analogy, I need to understand what are the components of mind. I need to understand how each of the horse works. And my job is to keep all the horses in sync in the same direction. You don't want one horse to be running at 100 miles per hour, the other is going in the opposite direction or going in a different direction or slower speed, your chariot won't move. So, if you want to say that I want to get my mind under control, you need to get all those manas, chitta, ahankara, buddhi, and the atman under control. So then you have to understand what those elements are, what are the tools and techniques that our system teaches you, by which these things can come under control. So, if you still break it down, you don't wait for saying, I need to know the formula. I need to know the formula. No, first, even before the formula, the step is conviction, the will, as Bhuvana said. The belief, the trust and faith that I don't know something that I need to know. And unless I know that and I implement that rule, I'm not going to be able to make progress. So, for example, go back to the lower level knowledge. If you say I created this, I created that, and I know everything, I don't need to learn anything. What is the element that is playing up very hard?
Ahankara.
Correct. So it is simple if pay attention to the details in a simplistic language without having to make it very complicated with Sanskrit shlokas and phrases and idioms, and put in those efforts to say, I will learn the method later, but I need to know what I've expected to do. Because when we started saying I need to go to New York City, the requirement was specified first. Only then you looked for a route. You didn't find the route and say, okay, where am I going? It's the other way around. Right? So here, the mind in one sense is the driver that holds all the reins of all those 5 elements. Okay? Imagine that as the driver. But next to that mind is the self, the observer, that says, okay, am I heading in the right direction? So imagine if you decide to take the turnpike, you'll go through the toll gate in the same way, regardless of whether you're going south or north. But if the direction says take turnpike north, only then you will reach New York. You don't make the mistake of taking NJTP south. Otherwise, you'll end up in Philadelphia. So there is somebody who keeps an eye. There's an observer that constantly monitors and makes sure that you're in the right direction. That is the self. Okay? Without that, you cannot expect the horses to be in sync and moving in the correct direction. So here, in this case, we also need to understand something which we have discussed in slightly different perspective, different level of detail of Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. So Taittiriya Upanishad explains this aspect. When you say that individual or the self, that individual or self is made up of 5 layers. And those layers in the ascending order is physical body, which is Annamaya Kosha. Does anybody know what are the other 4? No?
There at the back of my mind, it's not coming.
The energy sheath, which is a Pranamaya Kosha. Then the mental layer, which is the Manomaya Kosha. So energy is different, Manas is different. Manomaya Kosha. Intellect layer, which is Vijnanamaya Kosha. And finally, at the highest level is the bliss layer, which is Anandamaya Kosha. So you progress from the lower level to the higher levels. So Anandamaya Kosha is placed higher than the intellect. So if you say, I'm very intelligent, I have all the intellect required to succeed, you still don't get moksha unless you enjoy and experience that bliss. So if we talk of intellect, what is the first thing that comes to our mind?
Something to do with intelligence.
What does it do? Let's say you possess intelligence. What do you end up in doing? I've been explaining to you what I was doing in the last 15-20 minutes.
You will be able to differentiate between things which will lead you to moksha, which will not help you attain moksha.
If you have to put it in one word, you are very close to the answer. If you have to put that in one word,
Ability to process.
lightly, what else is required? What is that ability to process called as one word?
My
Logic.
logic.
Moment you have intelligence or intellect, you will try to find logic. So when
But
you
see, but then devotion, they say, doesn't work with logic.
That's
You don't
exactly
need
where I'm
logic.
coming. That's where I'm coming to. So Anandamaya Kosha is above intellect, which means it's extra logical. You are not going to get that peace and that ultimate bliss through pure logic. Otherwise, the intellect layer itself is sufficient for you to cross the line. Which brings it back to the core, which I keep hammering all the time. You can have a guru, you can have PDF docs, you can know how to read the language, Telugu, Kannada, Sanskritam, etc., etc. You can have somebody translate it for you. But unless you apply and experience, just the mere presence of all other elements is not going to take you to the destination. Sounds simple, right? So application of the knowledge and experiencing is very important. You just don't want somebody to say, oh, okay, don't touch this, it's very hot. Burn your hand out. That you may want to be playing safe and not do it. But if I tell you, chant every day Om for half an hour, you will see a difference after some time. You can't keep saying, give me the guarantee first that it is going to work, then I will start. You don't apply your logic there. You put your faith first, trust, follow the directions to the last bit of detail, and you will start experiencing it yourself. Correct? So the energy that underlies the physical and mental process is called prana. That is why prana is required.
Yeah.
Correct? So you can look at the three levels, which is where we keep on talking about physical, stula, sukshma, and karana. We are used to wrapping up an individual in those three levels itself. So at the lowest level is the physical body. The next higher level is the energy system at work. And the next level is thought. Got it? But all these three levels are related. For example, you are paying so much of attention and focus. You have that faith and trust. You have invested the time, shown your commitment, the desire to learn and make progress. And we are all very calm. If let us say I start rattling, I use the language, Anu, you don't even know this. I mean, you're so old. What the heck are you talking about? I start using this language. What happens immediately?
We tend to withdraw. Reciprocation will.
Agitation.
Negativity.
Agitation.
Negativity.
Yeah. Plus, you become restless. You get agitated. So, a physical act can result in a reaction which is in the mental state, and it intrudes into your thought process. It's not just that when I say it, you become agitated, but then you calm down. It works in your mind. It influences your thought process. So that is how these three are connected. The physical, the energy, and the thought process are connected. So you can play around by changing any one of those three. You can control the thought process, you can control the energy, you can control your reaction to my physical action. You can play around with those three parameters and control it to keep it in sync, which we also call as the gunas. Make sense? Now, how you see how the whole thing is all interlinked. What are the gunas?
Just
Yeah,
Tamas,
tamas
tamas.
and
sattva.
sattva guna. So, what is characterized as rajas?
This is
Anger.
Anger, agitated or restless.
some kind of there's a lot of activity.
When you are dull and lethargic,
Tamas.
correct. Then what is sattva?
Sattva is all good.
Huh?
Sattva is bliss.
Sattva is all good.
A different word for that.
Bliss, like
State of equilibrium.
equilibrium.
You are not very agitated, you are not dull and lethargic, you are balanced. Correct? So, prana is the energy or the fuel, or you can say it is a currency for the medium of exchange. Prana is the medium of exchange across these layers of psychophysiological system. So, there is a psychological system, there is a physiological system, and hence all three are lumped together called mind. Keep your mind in control. So, mind is an emergent entity. But for that emergence, you require the observer, the self. So you have to know what is that Atman. So if you confuse in English by saying Atma is soul, Prana is soul, everything is soul, you're doing a nice pav bhaji or velpuri. So sometimes it is better to go back to the native language to understand the distinction between these three.
Yeah, I guess there are no English words for certain Sanskrit words.
We don't
that
need
we
all the
have.
time. We don't need English words all the time. We can survive as long as we can visualize and connect. It is good enough. So I'll leave and stop here with this suspense so that you will have questions about the next two layers and show the same conviction that you're showing today for the next class by attending in full quorum. Because when you all say, we will attend, we will attend, we will attend, that becomes a motivation for me to say, okay, there's a class and we can now share and we can have a nice interactive session. So far, so good. Is it bringing a lot of clarity to all those questions? Please give me that secret recipe of. It's doable, right? So you can't say I've got a lot of responsibilities. I've got my daughter to marry off. I've got my son to be sent to the college. So how can I do all this sannyas and tapas and etc.? No, you start from now. It takes 15, 20 years for you to probably even learn some of these things. And when you complete Vruddashrama and you're ready for Vanaprastha stage, that is where you say, okay, I've fulfilled all my duties and obligations towards my family. Now I need to take care of myself. But I've got all the degree that I need, all the resources that I need to be able to take the next step, which is what Chittappa Swamigal has done. You understand what I'm saying? A very logical progression. So I will stop here. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to just stay back and answer them.
Okay. That's enough.
Thank you.